Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle True et je suis ravie de vous accueillir aujourd'hui. Je suis tutrice de langue étrangère. Mon invité, Lee, nous parlera de son expérience en France. Bienvenue, Lee. Welcome, Lee.
Bonjour, merci beaucoup. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I'm doing well.
Ça va, ça va. Merci. I'm good. I'm busy, but I'm good.
All right, so let's dive into the discussion. Can you briefly tell us about your experience as a teaching assistant in France and what inspired you to join the program?
Oh la la. So my main reason for joining the TAPIF program is because I wanted to significantly and rapidly improve my French. Um, So for a bit of just a backstory, I studied international relations with a minor in French. So I actually did the French. I just took 7 courses as part of the minor for my undergraduate. So I wanted to really improve. So I did A1, I did A2, and I did B1 as well. So I wanted to get to B2 level, which is the standard minimum level that you can have to work in Europe and stuff. So I decided to do the program. I believe it really paid off. I am now currently B2 level certified.
Très bien.
Um, Merci. Um, the program was an eye opener for me, a cultural shock for me, a growth period for me as well. I learned a lot. I met a lot of interesting people. I did a lot of different activities. I would actually want to do it again, actually.
Really?
I'm planning to do it again. I applied already.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And my goal for applying, of course, is to get to the C1 level.
Okay,
And
C1.
this is within the context of helping me in my future career in international trade, which is
Oh,
my current master's.
oh, that's good. Congratulations on that. And
Yeah,
continue to work hard, and I'm sure you do well, for sure.
thank you.
You're welcome. Now, which city or region were you placed in, and what was the school like?
So the school was a technical school. Name of the school was Lycée de Bois d'Amour.
Okay,
Yeah, a very beautiful name.
yes.
I was placed in the region of Poitiers. If you don't know where it is, you can check out the map for anybody listening to the interview, but it's between Paris and Bordeaux. So it's like really kind of really central in France. Um, Funny enough, it wasn't my choice to go to Poitiers. My first choice in my application was Strasbourg. Then my second choice was Bordeaux.
Okay.
And then I also chose Lille as my last choice. So I got none of my choices. I
Wow.
got Poitiers, but I loved it. I loved it.
Well, I'm happy that you loved it, even though it wasn't part of the choices originally. It turned out
Yeah,
nicely, so that's good.
yeah, yeah.
What?
The school itself, I would say, like, so like I said, it's a very technical school. They focus a lot on so I, like the levels I taught, I would say were from 14 up until 22.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had the BTS class as well. Um, and they were focused on commerce, like selling stuff and and there was also like the music aspect of the school. Very, very hands-on school, very hands-on school approach. I think it's a very interesting way to learn. I like it.
That's good. And I like that you mentioned that it's a hands-on type of school. Do you think that maybe your experience in France and those type of schools, what can you possibly take or bring with you in Barbados based on your experience in the technical schools? What are your thoughts?
I would say there's a cultural aspect to it. The way children are raised. I think there's a lot more freedoms given to the children. For an example, like there's no uniform, and they were shocked because I did a presentation on Barbados. It was,
Mhm.
sharing my culture and stuff. The students were shocked that we had to wear uniforms here in Barbados and in the Caribbean, but over there, there's no uniforms. Um, they get to, there's a lot of spaces where students and teachers really interact outside of the classroom, and
Okay.
I find this very well, it's been a long time since I've been in a secondary school, so I don't know if the system has changed a bit, but I just found it very interesting. I think it adds to the learning student experience. So if we could incorporate one thing, I would say um, making the school environment a dynamic where it's just not only the sole classroom aspect that teachers interact with students.
Mm.
I think this would open up a lot more, you know, a better mindset towards learning, especially learning a language. Learning a language is not easy.
Yes, that is true. Learning a language has its difficulties for sure. I can attest to that. Yes. Now, tell us, Lee, about your role in helping students learn English.
Okay, so my first week during the program, I had an observation week, and during this observation week, I discussed a lot with the teachers and like their expectations of me and the student level and stuff. So one of the main key goals that I had was to really encourage the students to talk. I can't speak for the entire, you know, student population in France, but at my school in particular, the English level it was very high. I was very impressed, but like they were so afraid to talk. For me, I found that very shocking. Like like speaking for them was like non-existent to the point where, I actually had some lesson plans prepared. So I tested it out, each because I had the premier, the second, I had different levels. So I would try to incorporate my lesson plan to adjust to the student's level. And sometimes if that wasn't working, I would just, dash where my plan and meet the students where they were and just try to encourage them to talk. So I would say after like 2 months, I was successful. Like students would actually stop me in the corridor and
Really?
speak to me in English. Yeah, like
Well, that's great.
I was like a celebrity after like 2 months. Like everybody was just all the students just try to speak to me in English, even if they weren't my students. Like their friends would try to speak to me in English. So we got past that barrier.
That's good. That means that you made an impact, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you know what? I even find it here, for example, teaching in Barbados, when I teach foreign languages, Spanish and French, is to get the English speakers to open their mouth and actually speak the language. They're afraid of that. They're afraid to make mistakes, and I say it's normal. It's part of the process. You have to make
Yeah,
mistakes and you have to learn. So don't be shy. I know they can sometimes it can feel like pulling teeth, but once they are comfortable, they will open up.
exactly. So my biggest challenge while teaching the language was really having students be confident to share and speak in English. I had to get them in a place where they were okay with making mistakes. I didn't have like any challenges. There was no like students being disrespectful. There was no like loud noises. There was pure interest, just a lot of shyness. So once we got past the shyness, it was smooth sailing from there.
Awesome. I love that. I love that for you. So you spoke earlier about, spending Independence Day, so November 30th in France. Yes, and you shared a few aspects of Beijing culture with your students. Now,
Yeah.
you spoke about, the uniforms and everything. How about the food? Did you make anything for the students? How about that?
Yeah, so we actually had a cultural day. Um, so I did I did like a Barbados presentation. with all my classes. And I also shared my presentation with teachers and other classes in French because those students didn't speak English, but
Ah,
the teachers for example, like history and even like sales, like commercial economics class. They wanted like the aspects of Barbados, the region, the currency, like how is things done. They wanted like the geography for the history class. So I actually did the presentation in French and in my English classes as well. When I started to share things like putting in sauce and macaroni pie and conkeys and stuff, like, the eyes lit up, like we want to
yeah.
go there. And
Oh,
obviously
that's
when they see
nice.
the pictures of the beach, very, very positive reviews. That even made me a bigger celebrity on the school grounds when people see me. I mean, Barbados was a hit.
Oh, that's lovely. So come
Barbados
to
was a hit.
Barbados.
Yeah, exactly. They they love our culture. Especially it was easy in terms of because Rihanna is very popular. Um, Shockingly enough, a lot of French students they know Rihanna, but they don't know like where Barbados is. So I think I did a good job in identifying where Barbados is. Obviously, it's not really taught in their secondary schools
Exactly.
much about the Caribbean. So
Okay. Well, that's good. That's
it
good.
was it was a good experience. And I did cook during the cultural exchange between the professors.
Yeah.
So I did share macaroni pie. I shared fish cakes,
Oh,
sweet bread. What else did I do? I didn't do everything. Sometimes I did everything, but when families invited me over, and I also did in my apartment because I lived on campus actually, but I lived alone. So at first it was kind of lonely. I did like a welcome lunch thing. So I invited the principal over, the secretary, everybody, and I cooked like a whole Bajan Sunday spread.
all right.
Yeah, that was as close to independence as well. So, and
Okay.
they loved it. They enjoyed it.
Good. So you felt right at home, but in France.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. That's great. Now, how did living in France help you improve your French? And were there any specific experiences that helped?
I would say this happened to me in stages that I could clearly identify that I was making progress. So for instance, when I first came, obviously I was like B1 level. Um, but I still had I when I speak, I still make a lot of errors. So even in my conversations with teachers, with not students, but mostly teachers, going to the supermarket, opening a bank account, riding on the train, um, these everyday things help me to improve. And I noticed that I could understand what anybody said if anybody said anything to me without hesitation. And my speaking also, like my responses were more fluid. I didn't have to stutter or search for words while I was speaking. And I found it very interesting because I started in October, by like January or February, I was thinking in French or starting to think a lot more in French.
That's
So,
beautiful.
I would wake up and be like, oh, j'ai la flemme, il faut que
Uh-huh.
je fasse ça, il faut que je fasse ça. And I was like, huh? This is French, this is not English.
Oui,
So,
tout à fait. So your brain made that
um,
switch. That's good.
yeah, that gradual switch. So I would say my day-to-day activities, you know, I joined the gym. I went to a lot of sorties, a lot
Yeah.
of bars, just with other assistants, a lot of apparels. I did a few randonnées.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I would say the biggest thing that helped me was actually making friends with the teachers themselves because the teachers really looked out for me, invited me out, took me out. We would talk at coffee breaks at lunchtime,
Yeah.
eat lunch together as well.
Mm.
And the English teachers, there were like 12 of them. I was the only male teacher and
Oh
male
wow.
assist. Well, I was the only English assistant at the school, and I was the only male in that English department, and they always make sure to speak to me in French, never in English.
Ah, c'est super ça.
S- Yeah, and finally what I did, I also um I hired a teacher like yourself to help me pass the Delph B2 exam. Just brush up on my my speaking, my listening, grammatical, everything, just in preparation for the exam, and that was helpful as well. Give me that extra push
Yes,
I needed.
that's good. That's good. What is your favorite phrase or expression in French that you picked up in France?
Up, tac, tac, tac.
And what does that mean? Ça veut dire quoi?
So, ça veut dire, do you know when you're doing something and it's just taking like 1, 2, 3 seconds too long?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like maybe like you're searching for a document, you'd be like, um, you give a little, or
Yeah.
like, you helping somebody do something. It's mostly done in a professional setting,
Okay.
not really in a casual setting. But I
Okay.
find the French in a maybe it was, no, it was not restricted to Poitiers because I experienced it when I traveled to France as well and Normandy as well. Um, they would say like up, up, up. I ordered a drink and the waiter would be like up. I'm like, huh? You want me to get up?
What?
No, so it's like up, 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 tack, tack, tack. Like when they're doing something very fast, like if they're cleaning something or, if they're about to cut some meat, it'd be like tack. I'm like,
Okay.
huh?
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, like I don't know if it's a generational because I did
Mhm.
spend most of my time with people like I'm not gonna say my age, but people like around my age or like a little older than me.
Okay.
I didn't spend that much time with like the Gen Z.
Oh,
So even though I look like Gen Z, whatever.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that expression and your stories with us. Okay, thanks. And what surprised you the most about French culture or daily life when you first arrived?
I would say like the
Okay.
architecture in France, like just the way how the country is laid out. Like I knew that okay, this is not like Canada. This is not like a New York. This is unique. Like the way how they structure everything. I'm really talking about the architectural aspect of France.
Okay.
It's just very beautiful. No matter which city. Poitiers is very like old medieval like city, but it's also heavy with a very high student population. Um, but yeah, it was beautiful, I would say. Culturally, like the people, I found the people to be very nice. I didn't have any issues at all. Um,
Good. All
very
right.
organized, the French, yeah.
C'est très bien. Did you have any memorable experiences with French food or other cultural activities?
Yeah, the food, yeah. The cheeses. I would go to the supermarket and there'd be a whole entire like aisle like section with different cheeses.
Okay.
And I just found this very, very eye-opening. But in terms of the food, I love wait, let me say it correctly. The raclette.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the raclette. Um, and there was another one as well. With cheese, of course. Um,
Fromage.
the fromage. What was the name of it? I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it though.
Okay.
Do you know it?
I,
It's popular like the raclette as well.
I'm not,
Um,
it's not coming to mind at the moment. However, we can insert a picture or with the name once
yeah,
we know.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It
But
it, it will come back to you.
yeah, definitely. I would say, but definitely, like the food was a big hit for me, a big success for me. Um,
Now,
Yeah.
for our last questions, okay, where were there any funny misunderstandings or language mixed up that happened while you were teaching or interacting with locals?
Um, on my end, yes. Like the way that I would sometimes the way that I would say French word was the wrong word.
Oh,
Um, very inappropriate in a very
oh
inappropriate
no,
way,
oh no.
but a very funny way.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, all in funny context. Yeah, and yeah, and then like there was this one time I was in class, so I gave the students this lesson plan on storytelling,
Okay.
and there was this one student in particular. She her story was that she had a dream and she was in the woods in a car and she was fighting a bear, fighting
Yeah,
for her
yeah.
life, and then she was running and stuff, but she
Wow.
didn't pronounce it as fighting, she pronounced it as
Oh,
the other word. So
oh, oh, oh dear.
like, but she didn't know that, and then everybody
Mm.
started laughing,
Oh
and then she
no.
was very shy at the end. Yeah,
Oh no. Oh
yeah.
wow.
But I did have several instances where like, the student's saying one thing, but it's totally off. Very funny.
Okay.
Happens a lot, actually.
Yeah. And
Very common.
it happens with everyone, once you learn a language, the pronunciation and, the stressing of this letter and sometimes confusing like false friends, you know, English,
Yeah,
French,
exactly.
Spanish. Yeah. So it can happen. All right.
Exactly.
And what advice would you give to someone considering the teaching assistant program in France?
So I would say, first off, you wanna, as soon as you get the a solid idea of where you're gonna be, like your school, you want to research the place. You want to know like where you're gonna open your bank account.
Mhm.
Obviously, you want to get your housing situation sorted out as soon as possible. You don't know if you're going to need an Airbnb for 2 to 3 weeks before you can find housing, or you don't know if the school is going to offer you housing. You really want to just get some details done, like because you can't open a bank account without a phone number. So you really want to get a phone number. There's just some details that you really need to get done within the first 2 to 3 weeks. So I would say arrive at least 1 week in advance before you actually start working. So if your contract is like October 1st, make sure you're there in September and don't come in October because it's gonna be a bit of a rocky ride if you do decide to do that. And I would say take the opportunity to travel if you can,
Mhm.
because France is really connected to everything else in Europe. So, and the prices are quite nice, quite cheap. Uh, you can get flights for like $28 or less, or
Ooh,
just a bit more. Like I had a flight to Spain for like $40. Um, and this was a wrong trip. So I mean, you 40 euros, sorry, and this
euros,
was a
yeah.
wrong trip. So I mean, yeah, you can really plan a good vacation during the breaks.
Mhm, yeah.
If you do it early, if you do it smartly, and that way you can just take advantage of traveling around Europe. I would say also I don't know if it's still gonna happen, but if you're thinking about doing the type of do the ambassador aspect of it. They introduce ambassador so you can get to represent your country as an ambassador for the TAPIF program. And there's a lot of perks to that because it actually is a part of the program. So you get to go to professional functions, and it can be a really nice networking opportunity. So
Sounds
I
great.
would recommend, yeah, I would recommend anybody take advantage of that opportunity as well. Um, and prepare your lesson plans in advance.
Mm.
There's a huge WhatsApp group with a lot of Google links that have a lot of um, relevant resources that you can use to plan lesson plans. So I would plan some, general lesson plans based on some themes to help students learn English before you actually get there, so that when you get there and you speak to the teachers and you get a sense of what the students' level of English is, you can then actually tailor those plans that you did to suit. And then like you've got like even more free time to explore if you do it
Oh,
that way. So
thank you for sharing those tips with us. I'm sure
you're
it'll help
welcome.
someone. D'accord. Merci beaucoup, Lee, d'avoir partagé ton expérience avec nous aujourd'hui.
Merci beaucoup pour l'invitation.
Thank you to everyone who tuned in. À bientôt.
À bientôt. Merci.